It's time to talk. Welcome. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. Welcome to my Substack Live. Let me make sure you can see my sign. I love the Constitution. Yeah. Okay. So it's Saturday. It's 5 p.m. Eastern time. I promised I'd be back, and here I am. I don't know if you're able to comment if you come on, but if you are able to comment, go ahead and leave a comment. Sometimes something weird happens. Okay, so here you are. Hello, hello, hello. We have lots to talk about. I'm going to just wait till a few more people show up. How you doing? How was your day? It's warming up around here. Hopefully there's no more snow and I can get my car out. But some of it melted. Some of it melted. I was talking yesterday about that he was going to get ready to, well, he was getting ready. The commander-in-chief thinks that he's a king, and he was threatening to attack Iran. And he did. Good afternoon. It's actually early evening, but it's later now. And he did attack Iran. And the appearance that he's only considering himself and what he wants to do, and he doesn't give a rat's ass what anybody else thinks about it, means he's unfit to be in the position of President of the United States. The fact that he's doing everything his own way without even taking into consideration that it's not all about him and that he's the king and he issues decrees and he doesn't even consider, it doesn't even enter into his consciousness that we have a Congress and we have a Constitution. 3 cons. He's a con. It doesn't enter into his consciousness that we have a Congress and this act of war requires congressional approval because it's pretty damn scary, for one thing, to put it mildly, that he's just going to go on what he thinks. He's just going to use it. Oh, I think this, so therefore I do. Yeah, that's what this is. And if he consults with anybody, it might be Keg's Breath, who's probably 3 sheets to the wind from what we know about him. He's also an abuser, reportedly. Keg's Breath. That's what we call him. So I know that the American people are livid. I know that people are out on the streets rallying and protesting. I'm glad. I feel like we can't wait till March 28th. We have to do lots of rallies before then. If the American people want to show the rest of the world that we didn't approve of this, and we need to show the rest of the world that we didn't approve of this. Now, I heard that the U.S. forces took out Khomeini and the Ayatollah, and I really don't know much about the government of Iran, except that they're barbaric and they hate women. And it's severely, severely oppressive. However, as we all know, we have to consider, and this is one thing I've always known about Trump. I've always sensed this and felt this about him and observed this about him. He is the kind of person that for some reason his thought process goes it's not very deep. It's like, it's very impulsive, it's very reactive, it's very autopilot. There's no think through. There's no, if I do this and it will lead to this, and then if I do this, it will lead to that. It's just very reactive. He's very reactive. And he goes after things like a bull in a china shop, right? Just plows in. And what's happening is he's not taken into consideration because he doesn't know how. That's malignant narcissism. He doesn't take into consideration that what he does will affect others. Just that it will affect others. So on the one hand, we have people going, oh, well, it's good that he took out the regime. On the other hand, we're going, WTF, we didn't even know why we were doing this. And plus, to him, it appears that he's like a toddler playing with his army men. And you know who the army men are? The people that he would have nothing to do with, the people that he called suckers and losers, the people that he forced to march in his military parade on his birthday, on the first No King's Day, that refused to walk in lockstep. This military that has no respect for him because, and I'm saying that because he has no respect for them. He went into Arlington Cemetery. They politely asked him to not take pictures in a particular, like, sacred location. He was just like, forget it, kind of pushed the person who was just giving them the rules. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He uses our military like they're remember those little plastic green military men, I don't know if kids still play with those, but it's probably not like the best kind of thing to give kids to play with, but I think post World War II that probably came to be. Anyway, he's behaving as if he's doing that. And so is Keg's Breath. He plays with them. He plays with our military like they're his own personal toy soldiers, and that this is just a game. It is a game. To these kinds of people, war is just a game. Do you think Putin ever for one microsecond considers, oh, that's somebody's son. That soldier, that's somebody's brother. That's somebody's husband. God, no. Because to these malignant, narcissists, sadists, and there's so many more descriptive words to call them that are diagnostically correct, they're just looking at what happens for them and how much more powerful they'll feel. And I really do know that they get a rush out of it. And I really do know that Keg's Breath murdering those fishermen off the coast of Venezuela, and I think there were others off on the other side of the continent too. And remember, not too long ago, a week and a half ago or so, they shut down the airspace over New Mexico because we don't know why. Because they claimed that there were drug cartel drones coming over the airspace, and that they had to. We still don't know what happened. These incompetent, inept little boys, and little boys act better than these guys. They just started shooting things because they like to shoot things. And I know that Keg's Breath just likes to shoot things because they get a rush out of it. That's my opinion. That's what I see. I don't know if anybody can disagree with that. And we, the American people, are effing pissed as hell because he's treating us like we don't matter. Let me tell you something, because we don't matter. We don't matter. We have a person in the White House running our country into the ground who never sees us. That office is, and he's our employee. That's the way it was set up by our founding fathers. It wasn't about ego, and our founding fathers set up our Constitution. Here we have our cameo appearance by our George Washington. Set it up to be very clear that tyrants will not be leading this country. And nefarious forces got in and they started ripping it to shreds. And now it's up to only us. What did I read to you the other day? It's only keepers. United States Constitution. Its only keepers are the people, said our first president, General Washington. You don't attack another nation without I mean, this is unprecedented. How many times do we hear that word? Without having a coherent speech that your top speech writers, not what's his name, the big guy, Stephen Chung, or I think that's his name, or Stephen Miller, no. Somebody with intelligence who's not a sociopath writes the speech. The president of the United States, that's a legit president, takes a few deep breaths, calms himself. It's always a he, unfortunately. And thoughtfully, from the Oval Office, from the Resolute desk, whether we are opposed to it or not, like, George W., right? We were all opposed to that. We've been through this a few times, but not this bad. Because this guy is he's off the freaking rails more than anybody else has been. And they would sit and there would be a designated time and they would address the nation, because the president of the United States, who's legit, works for the people and behaves as if he works for the people, and then would spell it out. We're paying the Congress. I don't care how many times he says he doesn't collect a salary for the position of POTUS. That's to justify him stealing money from us hand over fist and capitalizing on being in that office, selling bribes and stuff. It's $1 million for his gold ticket to just get automatic citizenship. Who wants to live here now anyway? But anyway, I digress. The president of the United States is supposed to tell the American people what he's thinking to do. And then the president of the United States, I don't know if it's in this order, but goes to the Congress before or after that speech. Makes it clear, because that's the job, that this is what he'd like to do. And he needs for Congress to vote on it. And if Congress votes no, it's not supposed to happen. He didn't even do that. He's never done that. He's never checked with we the people that he's stealing all our taxpayer dollars. No. And now, you know where he is? He's not like rushing back to the White House, like, because this is an emergency. Now he's put our country at war against our wishes and our wills. He's not in those special rooms. He's not in the Situation Room. He's not having a meeting with his, people that know, with the generals. You know where he is? Guess. I'll give you one guess. Where is Trump right now? Where is Trump right now? Class? I think there's a delay in the chat. Or you're so absorbed in my little speech. He's at Mar-a-Lago. And you know what's happening at Mar-a-Lago? Probably going on right now. They're making preparations right now. They're having some kind of a dinner, and it's $1 million a plate. That's what I just heard from a reliable source. I know that there are countries in the Middle East that are so oil rich. It says Mar-a-Lago is his baby carriage. It kind of is. I'm going to talk about what else it is too. I'm going to tell you something that might seem unrelated, but the New Year's Eve fireworks display. I know, because I did an event on my channel on YouTube for New Year's Eve. I went back and I watched the fireworks show. I had shown some of them at my event, but I watched the fireworks show from around the world. And you know what's crazy? is that this is what convinced me that the United States of America is gonna have a very challenging time competing with the rest of the world because the firework display from Dubai and from, Qatar was like it was beyond a fireworks show. It was like a show to the world. Look at how much wealth we have accrued. Go back and check it out. New Year's Eve celebration fireworks. And I had a moment, I was taken aback because I suddenly became fully aware that we are not the wealthiest country in the world anymore. And so we have to kind of crawl our way back. Those countries are so wealthy, and now he's gotten us into a war with Iran and struck a school and killed school children. I think it was a girls' school. He's now officially a war criminal. He's pretty much invested his energy into making America the Russian Federation of America. That's what I call it. That's what I call his. Yeah, Iran has money too. The people don't. He's officially taking on the same demeanor and the same ways, the same methods as Vladimir Putin. Now, the interesting thing is, yeah, Iran has money, but they keep the people poor, and that's what's happening here. We're seeing the beginning stages of that. The interesting thing is that because he just was like, yeah, go ahead and strike Iran, I don't care. He even went so far as to say, we're going to lose soldiers. They're going to die. Oh, too bad. I'm just paraphrasing. No, no message like, I hope that, that we'll pray for our soldiers. He doesn't believe in God anyway. I don't know how he got all that Christian support, but it's all fake Christian support anyway. But no, like, pray that our soldiers are safe. They're doing a brave mission for the good of everybody. It wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. We're probably going to lose American soldiers. Just like, oh, well, so much for that. It's like going fishing, you get a fish that you don't like that much, and you just throw it overboard. Take a breath, everybody. Take a deep breath. Reportedly, what he's done now is not to Russia's benefit because Russia reportedly relies on oil from that region to keep going. So not only have the Ukrainians put a huge dent in the infrastructure, the oil and the gas refineries in Russia, because Ukraine goes for that. They don't go to bomb civilians like this idiot. So Russia was already strapped for fuel, and you need fuel to conduct the kind of war that they're conducting on Ukraine. And now, reportedly, because Trump did this, there's a strait that I don't want to get it wrong. It starts with an H. There's a waterway where the tankers go to get outside of that area, and Russia is reliant on that oil to continue to fuel the war. So I have a slight suspicion that Putin might not really be too much jumping for joy about this. So now we have other nations furious at the United States because he's supposed to represent us. So according to the rest of the world, Now we're the bad guys. Iran is furious. I'm sure the leadership is furious. You never get all of them, right? There's lots of underground tunnels and bunkers for them to hide. He didn't get everybody. He's treating Iran like it's his plaything, and he's sending his toy soldiers in. He's treating it like it's like, remember when they got Soleimani and Trump wouldn't shut up about it? Term one. And I mean, it's one thing to get the bad guy, right? And it's another thing how you react after you get the bad guy. Oh, well, he was hiding like a dog and we got him. He was like a dog. I think Trump hates dogs because he's always picking on dogs. Remember that? And we're like, oh my God, you don't want to piss them off more, right? You don't want to, but he just ramps it up. He amps up the potential for whoever got attacked or their leader, even if it was a terrorist leader, they got killed. The gang, the terrorists they call him the head guy, and they love him despite what we think about it, and they will want to retaliate. So you don't like rub it in their faces after you've gotten the bad guy that some people liked. Because that makes it more volatile than it already is. And I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm really pissed off about this. But I'm here so we can share all our feelings that are the same together. And all the while that this horrificness is going on, all the while that at the very moment that we could lose even one of our brave soldiers, who I'm sure don't want to be in this position of a very unpopular move made by a deranged, incompetent puppet of Putin. In the very moment that that's possibly happening, he's at Mar-a-Lago, basking in the glory of being in the position of the most powerful man in the world. And we're teetering on the edge of possible World War III. Our allies are furious, and he's partying with his friends. I think we're back in the Dark Ages. You're pissed off because we have a 24-year-old landscaper as head of the international terrorism. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something about that. That's by design. It's as if we can imagine the Kremlin's playbook. And in that playbook is this: make sure you appoint the most incompetent and then some idiots that you can possibly find that know nothing about anything they're being appointed to. Destroy America. Is there a bunker at Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So speaking of Mar-a-Lago, I just want to say it's unbelievable. Well, it's believable because it's him, but just to look at the whole situation, that here we are with a so-called commander-in-chief that's commanding just like he's ordering, I don't know, one of those well-done burgers and fries. He's treating it like it's just nothing. And he's at Mar-a-Lago, and I have a strong suspicion that we don't know the half of what goes on at Mar-a-Lago. Do you all too? I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a whole lot that goes on at Mar-a-Lago that we don't know the half of it, but we can only imagine. And it's not strictly imagination, it's imagination based on what we know about him already. Do you remember the Halloween party that they had before they started cutting, before the American people started to feel, yeah, nasty crap, right? Before the American people started to really feel the impact of all the Doge cuts, right? It was right around Halloween last year, and they had a roaring 20s party as if to rub it in the American people's faces. We don't give a shit about you. as if that's what they were saying, because they were. And then somehow we got video clips. We could see video clips that people took of the party. And at the entrance is a barely naked girl in a huge martini glass to greet people as they're going in, scantily clad. And the most recent thing that I saw, and I couldn't even believe it, was they were having a big party at Mar-a-Lago recently, and people were all dressed up, and they had dog masks on. It's just with the dogs. I just mentioned how much he calls people dogs as an insult. Hope is still convinced he's still doing trafficking in Mar-a-Lago. That's kind of what I'm, you know, not saying. And not just that. You know that this is a regime that loves their drugs and loves their alcohol. And they're stupid people with very low IQ. All those times Trump says, "Oh, you're low IQ. Oh, you're low IQ." That's everything he says is a projection. Everything negative that he says, every crime that he points his finger at somebody and says they're committing is a confession. It's an admission of guilt. So, oh, interesting. Sasha Riley had just discussed Trump's torture of dogs right before that party. I didn't know that. That's news to me. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird and it's dark and it's satanic. And it's unbelievable that this is where we find ourselves. So we really have to hang on to each other. We have to have a lot of faith in one another. They're also making a very concerted effort to get these Christian nationalist groups, huge corporate conglomerates, to buy up mainstream media. It's going to be hell for them, what happens to them, because they've taken what they believed that people would pay for, and they've distorted it and contorted it into things that people will not want to watch. It won't be the truth. It'll be all praising Trump. They're trying to turn us into North Korea. So I guess it's like a combination of Russia and North Korea that Trump is going for, because look at who his two greatest heroes are. We have the power to put an end to this. We have to treat it like a part-time job, or a full-time job if you have the time. Don't take your eye off the ball. I say it every day. Keep your eye on the ball. Follow the news all day, every day, as best you can. Take breaks, but follow what's going on up to the minute, because this is up to the minute breaking news all the time. I remember a time when breaking news happened once every 6 months, maybe. Or when breaking news happened when it was really like, whoa, something that we had to know about because it was like an emergency thing. We're in an emergency. And we have to act accordingly. We have to think of the children. We have to think of the future generations. And I know that we do, but I'm just getting in sync with all of you. Just, because we all feel it. We all know it. Yes, we do have to get together as much as we possibly can. Keep our eye on the ball. Don't take our eyes off the ball. And we help each other. And you can see that in the alternative media. We can grow alternative media to the point where they won't really be able to interfere with it very much, because it's not it's kind of corporately owned. But for example, if they just go after everybody who has a YouTube channel that's pro-democracy like me, who they're shadow banning, thanks YouTube. I mention the Kremlin a lot. If they go after all those big corporate conglomerates that have like Substack and have YouTube and Google and all that, Google and YouTube, then what will happen is there'll be nothing left for anybody, right? Including them. So they do need us, but they're trying to manipulate us They need us for their bottom line, but they're trying to manipulate us at the same time. So we have to take a stand and say, we will not be swayed. We will not be manipulated. We're going to listen to our guts and stick with me, because I'll teach you how to do that more and more and more every time we have these meetings together. Right now, what needs to happen is that we come out in such huge, giant numbers that we call our representatives all day, every day. We know that this is his way of distracting from the Epstein files. He does it every time. Every single time he stirs up a big, big, big trouble, it's because he's trying to get us to look at something else. Because look at this. We're not talking about the Epstein files today, and I mentioned it yesterday. Now the Democrats are going to have something higher up on their list of priorities because it's an emergency. He does it every time. Every time. And once we leave mainstream media, we won't get back in. That's true. So let us not forget that we are the power. And what he's trying to do is always behave as if he is the power. And that's the behavior. But the actual truth is that we are the power. He's acting so much like he is the power, and he's going over the top. People are dying. People's lives are at risk. He's going over the top to show you that, no, I have the power. No, because he knows that we have the power. Don't think for 1 second that he's not afraid of massive throngs of people in the millions protesting in the streets. And this, because this isn't gone. And this has the instructions. This is the manual. This is when you have a tyrant, you do this. And maybe SCOTUS will grow a pair and stop being so corrupt once they realize that under a dictatorship, they're unemployed. I thank you for joining me tonight. I'll be back tomorrow around the evening time. I'll send out an invite. Please subscribe. I think you're all subscribers, because you will get the notification. And I am in the process of writing a Substack, but I mean, true to form, it's like I start writing one and then something else happens, and then the topic switches. So I'm kind of back to the drawing board. If you watch me on YouTube, I will post a video in a little while, in a couple hours from now, and just going over some of the news items and doing a little reading on them. All right. Be strong, live long, and prosper. We got this. Doesn't seem like it, but we do. He's acting out because he can feel our power. All right. I'll see you soon. I like to say namaste. Bye-bye.